Lesson 4.4, more multiplication practice. We will use, as expected, the traditional algorithm for solving our practice problems in this lesson. 48 multiplied by 34. I'm going to use rounding to come up with a quick estimate. 48 gets rounded up to 50. 34 gets rounded down to 30. And 50 times 30. Count up my zeros. There's two of them. Multiply my non-zeros to get 15. And then add my two zeros at the end. My estimate's 1,500. To solve, our first row, 48 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 3 gets carried. 4 times 4 is 16 plus the 3, 19. I'm going to put my 0 placeholder down. And then my second row becomes 48 multiplied by 3. 3 times 8, 24. 4 comes down. 2 gets carried. 3 times 4 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. Now add up my columns. 2 and 0 is 2. 9 and 4 is 13. 1 and 1 and 4 is 6. And I bring down the 1. I get an answer of 1,632, which is right in the ballpark with our estimate. Number 2, again, let's come up with an estimate first. 23, we'll round that down to 20. 62 gets rounded down to 60. Multiply those two multiples of 10 together, and we get 1,200 for our estimate. Our first row here is 23 multiplied by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Our next row is 23 multiplied by 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Oh, don't forget about that 0 placeholder. 1 gets carried. 6 times 2 is 12, plus the 1 is 13. Add up our rows. 4 and 8 is 12. 1 and 3 is 4. And the 1 comes down. We get an answer of 1,426, which is in the ballpark of our estimate. Now, you might be surprised that they're not closer together, but remember, we knew our estimate was going to be lower than the actual because both of these factors got rounded down. 23 got rounded down to 20, 62 got rounded down to 60, so it made sense that our estimate was going to come in lower than the actual. Number 3, let's round. 37 gets rounded up to 40, and 46 gets rounded up to 50. So in this case, we expect that our estimate is going to be greater than the actual answer. I can cover up or count up my two zeros here, multiply my non-zeros. 4 times 5 is 20, then add my two zeros to get an estimate of 2,000. And then let's solve. First row, 37 multiplied by 6. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 4 that got carried. Let's cross out the 4. Let's put the 0 placeholder down. And our next row is 37 multiplied by 4. 4 times 7 is 28. 8 comes down, 2 gets carried. 4 times 3 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. Add up our columns. 2 and 0 is 2. 2 and 8 is 10. 1 gets carried. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 and 4, 7. 1 comes down. And in the ballpark, but as expected, our estimate did come in a little higher than our actual. Number 4, 66 times 64. Let's round 66 up to 70. Let's round 64 down to 60. And 6 times 7 is 42. Add our 2 zeros to the end. Our estimate is 4,200. And I bet that this estimate will be pretty close to the actual, because look at how we've done the rounding. We've rounded one of the factors up and we've rounded the other factor down. So in that sense, the rounding should not perfectly cancel each other out, but it should balance it out and get us reasonably close. Let's see if that prediction is true. Our first row is 66 multiplied by 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 comes down, 2 gets carried. 4 times 6 is 24, plus the 2 is 26. I'll cross out the 2. I'll put my placeholder 0 down. Second row is going to be 66 multiplied by 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 comes down, 3 gets carried. 6 times 6 is 36, plus the 3 is 39. And let's add up our columns. 4 and 0 is 4. 6 and 6 is 12. 2 comes down, 1 gets carried. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 and 9 is 12. 2 comes down, 1 gets carried. 1 and 3 is 4. And sure enough, as expected, our actual came in very close to our estimate. Let's move on. And I think in the interest of time, we will complete this next section, but skip practice problems 8 and 9 at the bottom. In this section, we are given a table and asked to use that to help answer the questions. Here we have 3 different types of hens at a certain farm, or 3 different breeds of hen. And we are told in this table that this is the number of the dozen eggs laid each year. So not the number of eggs, the number of dozen eggs. So you imagine what that carton of a dozen eggs looks like, and the Plymouth Rock hen is cranking out 20 of those cartons worth of eggs. Rhode Island Red, 32 of those cartons. Porcelain d'Uccle, 19 of those cartons. And each carton represents 12 eggs. I'm using carton as another word for a dozen. A dozen means 12. Let's get started. How many individual eggs does the Plymouth Rock hen lay in a year? Well, the Plymouth Rock hen lays 20 dozen eggs, so 20 multiplied by 12. And this we can do as mental math, can't we? Because I can cover up or count up my 0 here. I can multiply 12 times 2 to get 24, and then add my 0 to the end to get 240 eggs. Question 6, how many individual eggs does the Rhode Island Red hen lay in a year? Well, the Rhode Island Red is good for 32 dozen. So to convert that to individual eggs, we'll do 32 multiplied by 12. And I'm going to set this up and solve it using the traditional algorithm. First row, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 0 placeholder down. Second row, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Add up my columns. 384 eggs. Question 7 says, how could you find out how many individual eggs the Porcelain d'Uccle lays in a year without doing any multiplication? What is the answer? Okay, well, We know that the porcelain Diucle hen is good for 19 dozen eggs. So 19 times 12 would be the logical approach to answering this question. But of course, to make it a challenge or to throw a curveball at us, we've been asked to do this without any multiplication. So if I can't do multiplication, I could remember that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. So 19 times 12 is the same as 19 plus 19 plus 19. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could add 19 to itself 12 times altogether. That sure seems like a silly activity. The whole purpose of learning multiplication is to avoid having to use repeated addition. So I'm sorry. We're going to solve this using multiplication. That is the whole purpose of this lesson after all. But if it helped you somehow to go back down memory lane and remember that multiplication is repeated addition, then I guess I'll call that a bonus. Let's solve this thing. 19 times 12. First row, 2 times 9 is 18. 8 comes down, 1 gets carried. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 1 is 3. 0 placeholder down for the second row. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. Add them up. 8 and 0 is 8. 3 and 9 is 12. 1 gets carried. 228 eggs is our answer.